There it is. We're here. It's our second to last week. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Oh, we were just talking about how great the weather is, and we thank every single one of you for joining us. We're going to get into some really good conversation today, all about what to do when your partner's relationship gets serious. This will be fun. Tune in.
Practicing Polyamory, real-life perspectives from the imperfect people of polyamory. The mission of the Practicing Polyamory podcast is to provide a platform for all of the real-life, flawed humans that practice polyamory so that we might all learn from one another and grow as a community. Enjoy the show.
All right. It feels it's just such a good day. I can't help but to dance when I hear that song. Welcome everybody to this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. If you're joining us for the first time today, welcome. And thank you so much for tuning in. And if you've been here for a while, then you already know we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, at least until the end of this month. Next week is our last week. October 27th is our last Practicing Polyamory podcast for season 1. But don't worry, everybody, we're going to be back rocking and rolling February of next year. Already got requests to get interviews, so we will be back. So for the rest of this month, if you have questions about your relationships, or if there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed on the show, slide into my DMs, let me know, or leave a comment while we're recording live. Follow the show on all social media platforms at Practicing Poly, and let me know what it is that you want us to talk about. And as always, as a reminder, and I really love that our guest actually brought this up, if you're listening to this podcast, you are a welcome guest to be on the show. None of us are perfect, and we're here to share our imperfect stories, because the more stories we share, the more others will see us in themselves, and the more representation we have, the more we can strengthen our community. So go to practicingpolyamory.com and sign up to share your imperfect story too. All right, now let's get to the best part of our show. Let's get to know our guest. Today, we are joined by a bisexual, cisgendered, polyamorous, and eclectic witch who has been practicing polyamory long enough to have a nesting partner and a long-term metamor. After her nesting partner's relationship took a turn towards the serious, our guest found herself struggling with jealousy and insecurity, and it led her down the polyamory research rabbit hole at the business end of the Google button. Through research and therapy, our guest has discovered a few immutable truths. It's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to be messy. It's okay to ask for space and time to process, and it's okay to not have all the answers right now. With everything our guest has learned while on her polyam journey, she hopes to one day be able to give back as a sex and polyamory educator. I'm looking forward to chatting with her to talk about the things she's learned over the years, and I know you all will learn from her as well. Joining us today from the home state of the beautiful Zion National Park, a little bit more trivia for y'all. Welcome to the show, Stephanie Symonds-Smith. I just love to get the show started dancing. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me.
I always dance to that part too. Hi, everyone.
Oh man, that makes me so happy to know.
I wait for it because I know there's a little little second blur, and then I'm like.
There's a split second. So in the back where nobody can see anything, I've got my producer / brother, and he's the one that hits that. So he's always just waiting for me to say the person's name, and then he goes and hits that button, and then we're jamming.
Yes. I almost feel like it's Friday when that happens.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you dancing along with us. It makes me feel good to know that we're putting out a product that people are enjoying. So thank you. And also thank you for spending some time here with me today. I really, really appreciate it. Let's get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, things that I didn't touch on in your introduction. Tell us about Stephanie.
Yeah, hi. So I'm originally from Northeast Ohio, and that's where I grew up for about 14 years of my life. And then I moved to Reno, Nevada, well, Sparks specifically, and lived there for high school. And then I moved to Logan, Utah, to go to Utah State University, and I've been in Logan since 2013. Still going to freaking school, but hey, it is what it is. But I had to switch majors a couple of times. COVID, happens. So I mean, I didn't get COVID, but COVID happened, and
Yes.
wasn't able to graduate with my degree. So I had switched to sociology, and then I found out that we're also able to do a sexuality studies in minor, and so I was like, sweet, I'm gonna add that too. But yeah, like you said, I'm going to try to be a sex coach, or sex educator specifically, and educate people about polyamory, because I feel like I'm so tired of the taboo, and
Yes.
I think it's something that we need to, I don't know if it's going to become mainstream. I mean, I hope so, but I don't know, who knows? And, yeah, and about me, so I am actually, today is my birthday.
You beat me to it. I have it right here in my notes. I was like, I was gonna tell our producer we gotta get the music ready one more time, because we're throwing a party. It is Stephanie's birthday. One more time. Hit us with the music. Or not. Okay.
Maybe.
That's cool. That's cool. He went away. Here we go. I got it. Here we go.
Hey.
Sorry.
So today I turned 27.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I have a daughter, and she is almost 2 and definitely feeling it. And then like I said, I'm going to school and I work full time, and then I also have partners. So actually, since I've written that, in the past month, I've actually attained 2 more partners. So the polycule is growing pretty sensibly. Right. So yeah, but and that's actually why I'm in my car, because I'm actually on my way. I'm not driving, by the way, but I'm driving down towards where they live. So yeah.
Nice. So when you wrote this, did you not have any partners when you wrote the thing originally?
So when I wrote that originally, I was going through some pretty hard stuff with my partner, my husband, TJ, and he and I have been together since May 2017, and it's kind of weird because we were like married, but we didn't get our marriage license until like May of this year. So we've been married by like, our friend got ordained, and we got married on a beach in Oregon in 2018.
So you had tux and the white dress, but not the paperwork to back it all up.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
And then, which we were like, it doesn't matter because we're married to us, like we're married. And so, but then I was like, okay, I feel like it's time for us to actually get the piece of paper. So we did that back in May, and we did that on like the day that we started dating, so we don't have like a million different anniversaries. So it was fun. We actually brought our partner. So our other partner's name is Lazarus, or I don't know, but they're out on Instagram, so I'm not sure about anything else really. But cool. And so I have those 2 partners, and then I have 2 other partners, Mary and Andrew, and they're married. And so it's kind of like this weird thing, but it works for all of us. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Nice.
But yeah, so what I was talking about in my post or my intro or application, that's the word. It was just TJ and Lazarus. So we were going through some stuff, but we're in a good place right now. But I think now that I'm at the end of it, I have a little bit more feedback. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. So TJ is your husband, and that's your nesting partner. And he's the one that recently developed a more serious relationship, right?
Yeah, with Lazarus, actually.
With Lazarus. Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. So he actually knew Lazarus while when they were in high school, and then they lost contact for a little while. And then I can't remember exactly when, but a couple months after we started dating, he and Lazarus started talking again, and we went to Lazarus' birthday party, and that's where I met them, and we all kind of like clicked, and we've been like friends with benefits, and we've been like on again, off again relationship, and like this whole tumultuous journey. But for the most part, because Lazarus has also had other partners and they were more serious with them. And so we were like, okay, well, we're just gonna like give you some space and all that stuff and all that. And then I think it was February or March, they had broken up with one of their partners, or with their main partner. And then after that, we started dating them again. And then for me, it was kind of like I was was not as, I guess, willing at first to have that relationship back with them again that I had before they had started dating that person. Just because it's like one step forward, two steps back kind of a thing. And so I was a little hesitant because I catch feelings kind of quickly. So, and I don't actually think of that as a bad thing. I think that, I mean, it is what it is. I can't help it. I can't control it.
It's fun, right?
It's just how I always am. I mean, that's how I am with Andrew and Mary. It was just like instantly like clicked, both of them, and I was just, I'm like, oh,
when it clicked, it clicked.
Yeah, exactly.
When it clicks, like, it clicks.
For real.
I was gonna share like I had this connection that lasted all of 10 days, but it was like super intense and fun, and it was long distance. Like she was in Europe, right, and I'm over here, and like it happened so fast, and you know, it didn't work out, and like for a few days I was like really bummed, but like I love that part of polyamory, like being able to say, oh, there's this person and I have this connection and it feels really good, and like, wow, I'm like really having like strong feelings for this person, and like I almost want to say that word that I'm not supposed to say because
to say
it's great.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened with me and Andrew. And I was like,
I love it.
After like a week or something like that, I was like, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I love you. And then like a couple days later,
I love it. That's so brave of you. I just want to acknowledge you for that. That's so brave.
Yeah. Well, also, I think I told him, and I can't remember if I waited, because I'm also a very impatient person when it comes to my feelings. Like, I can't hold things in. Like, I have to say them. And so, and some people don't like that because sometimes I'm brutally honest. And I'll say, like, what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And but Andrew was like, that's a good, I like that. And I was like, thank you, because I'm like, I know it's scary for most people, but I mean, hey, it happened. So. Yeah.
When my go ahead. I'm sorry. I was gonna say when my ex and I, when we first started dating, I remember she said to me, if you want to text me, just text me. Right? Yeah. Like no playing the games of you're supposed to wait 2 days or 3 days or 2 days after. She's like, when you want to text me, just text. Yeah. And I feel like you've kind of taken that same approach where if you feel like you love somebody, just tell them you love them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. It was actually, I saw another Facebook post that was like, don't be afraid of like how you're feeling. And like, if you love somebody, like you can't deny that. And that's also the same thing that happened with TJ too. Like, it was like,
it's so scary. Instantly. How do you do that?
I don't know.
Like, I want to be on that page with you. I want to say it too. Like,
I won the freaking lottery. I don't know how it happened. But like with TJ, like I was actually sort of dating another guy, actually. I wasn't polyamorous at the time. But with being with TJ, like I've been able to actually like fully accept that part of myself. Because it's like I've always wanted to have like sex with multiple people and all that kind of stuff, and we never really felt the need to like have other romantic relationships until we met Laz, and that kind of like really changed our relationship, but in a good way. And then and it made us stronger, and we're like, hey, well, if we want this to work, we have to communicate with each other, and that was something that we never really lacked in. And then
when we talk about that, can we talk about that a little bit? Because you know, the subject that we chose was about, when your partner's relationship gets serious. And as this seriousness has started to come up, you mentioned the communication. So can you tell me about some of the ways that you are communicating, like some of the conversations that have happened
Yeah.
as things have become more serious with Laz?
Yeah. With TJ, sometimes he like closes down a little bit, so it's hard for me to like communicate with him because he's not like he's not a super touchy-feely kind of guy. And so it makes it a little difficult because it's like I'm usually, like I said, I'm usually the one that is very open and I can't hide my feelings, and I usually want to talk about them. And he's not that kind of
I
way.
think of Multiamory's idea of chewer and spewer. Have you heard that one?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. When they just like, go ahead.
The chewer is the one who like choose it in their mind. They like ruminate. They think about it a lot, and they think a lot before they speak. Whereas a spewer is like, no, we need to talk about it now. We need to talk about it now. We need to talk about it now. Do you think that you and TJ are kind of opposites in that sense?
Oh yeah, for sure. I've tried to like in the past like 6 months, I've really tried to like sit with things a lot more and let them like cultivate, but it also depends on like the situation as well. Like I feel like, okay, I need to take a step back, like where am I mentally, and that kind of stuff. And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if you know the spoons theory, but that's what we use a lot in my house is if we have enough spoons, then we'll have a conversation about it. And
first, do you like ask if you have enough spoons? Like, hey, do you have enough spoons to have this conversation? Is that like a good first step?
Sometimes we do. Usually I open up with like, hey, can we talk about like what just happened? Or sometimes it kind of will just happen like naturally, and we'll just be like, okay, well, that's something that we get to talk about.
Right.
Or it would be like, oh no, like I don't have the time or like the energy to do that right now, and so like, okay,
being
just let me know when is a good time. Yeah.
It's good.
TJ's not as open about it as Laz is. Laz will be like, I don't have the spoons to talk about that, and I'm like, okay,
I love that.
Like that's fine, and then we'll talk about it another time or something like that. So yeah.
That self-awareness is so important, right? Like,
not
it's not even necessarily a self-awareness, but it's like a combination of self-awareness and vulnerability, and it's a couple of different things there that come to mind. So
like an evaluation of yourself.
Right. So Laz being able to say, hey, I don't have the spoons for it is very much like self-advocation. Like he's just saying, I'm not ready for this. Where TJ, just from what you're telling me, and I could be completely wrong, but it seems like he will be more likely to force himself to have the conversation, even if he doesn't have the spoons for it, because he just feels like he has to.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes he'll be like, I don't want to talk about it. Or he'll just like not really communicate. Like he'll just be like, okay. Or like he'll say like a few things for the conversation, but he won't be like, yeah, and I feel blah blah blah, or I don't want to talk about this, or
that's so interesting.
I don't like so and so, or I don't not like so and so, but I don't like that this you did that. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
No, that's so interesting. So you have these two I'm going to use this term loosely because it sounds like Laz is also your partner.
It's been like I said, it's been a journey. So currently, they are my partner. Yeah.
Cool. So you have these two partners that you're practicing almost two different types of communication styles with. One is more open with feelings. The other one is less open with feelings. So I guess it just comes from understanding. Do you find one to be easier to work with, or what do you find about the let's use Laz and no, you know what, let's go with TJ. Let's go this route. When it comes to TJ, what are some of the challenges that you find when he is not as open with feelings, or these things that you want to talk about but he's not ready to talk about yet? Like How do you cope with that? What are some things that you and TJ try to do together to make sure that you eventually do talk about this very important thing?
Yeah. So usually I'll be like, well, do you want to talk about it now? And sometimes he'll say yes, and sometimes he'll say no. It's really 50-50. But yeah, so and then like I'll be like, okay, well, I would like to talk about blah blah blah, and then he'll be like, okay, well, what do you want to talk about? And then I would say my stuff, and then he'll say like, okay, and then I'll be like, do you want to say anything? And then sometimes he doesn't respond. Sometimes he'll say like, no, I'm good, thanks for sharing. So yeah, so it's a little, he's also been going through a lot too, so I also try to really keep that in mind. So, and then that's the other thing with me, is like me being a partner for other people, is that like I try to take into account like what's going on with them, so that I'm like, okay, well, it's not me, like it's them, and I have to realize like that's their space, and like they need time to figure out whatever they're going through. So
giving that space, and that was another thing that you mentioned, was learning how to give space and time. Can you talk maybe a little bit about that right there? Because there it is, that's one of the ways that you deal with these two different communication styles. Laz is more likely to talk to you about their feelings and make sure that you and they have a good conversation about it and get things going. But you have to give TJ more space. Let's see what Louise is saying. I totally expressed my feelings like Stephanie. I told my current boyfriend that I was falling for him the second time we were together. Oh, I love love.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. I love love. It's my favorite.
I do too. So yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted. What was your question?
No, I didn't actually get to the question yet, but
okay.
So we were talking about these two different ways of communicating. One is more, you're able to have these conversations. The other one is the space and time. What were, like, maybe talk a little bit about this giving of space and time, because you brought it up in the questionnaire, the application, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see, how did you say it exactly? You said it's okay to ask for space and time to process. You, as a spewer, you just want to talk about things. So how did you learn this lesson of giving your partner the space and time to process?
I think, I don't remember exactly how it went down, but we were all really tired, and we were all having a conversation because, so we were supposed to move, all three of us, well, and my daughter, so I guess four of us, we're supposed to move to Vancouver, Washington, and I wanted to move at the end of July, and no one was ready, and so we moved the deadline, and then we were talking about the deadline, and it was something that we kept like talking about, because it was like that, well, we need to come up with a plan, like we need to come up with like how we're going to do finances, like what are we going to, like who's going to do what, kind of a thing. And so I kept like trying to push this, and then both TJ and Laz were just like, okay, like blah blah blah, this or that. They're both from Logan, Utah. Well, Laz has lived outside of Utah once or twice, but they mostly are from Logan, Utah. TJ has lived in Utah his whole life. He's traveled, but and mostly with me, because I'm a traveler. And so
Vancouver's a big move.
Yeah, Vancouver is a huge move. He doesn't have any family there. I only have my dad there, but I'm like, I moved to Utah with no one. So I'm like,
if I could do it.
Yeah, I'm like, at least my dad is there this time. Like, like last time I was like, I have no family, no ties, no support. My mom was 9 hours away. Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, so they were just like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And it was like, TJ kind of like, not like blew up, but he was like, I'm done. And I was like, okay, well then we will table this and we will talk about it at another time. And that's kind of where that left off. And then I was like, hey, well, and it's also very hard for me to give people space and time, because I'm like, are you done yet? are you done yet? But so I was just
So
like,
how do you calm yourself down? Yeah, okay, there you go. You breathe?
Yeah, I breathe. I just like, okay, I'm like, take a deep breath. And then I'm like, okay, well, how do I give him space? And then usually it's like I listen to a bunch of podcasts. This is where the rabbit hole comes from. So I listen to like a bunch of Poly Weekly. I listen to a bunch of Multiamory. I listen to a bunch of you. And I also listened to a couple books. I listened to Jessica Fern's book that my therapist recommended. I also listened to another book called Come As You Are. And I cannot for the life of me remember the author's name right now. And there was a few other books I read or, well, listened to on audiobooks. And I listened to a couple other podcasts that were just like fun podcasts while I was at work. So then that way I wouldn't keep like trying to like overthink things. And then with the podcast, about polyamory and stuff was like, oh, okay, so this is like what I want. This is how I want to set up my polyamory. Like, and it kind of was like, oh, so this is how you kind of ways you can help with jealousy. Because it was like, I was struggling with both of their relationships, but their relationships seemed to be okay from my point of view. And so they were like showing each other affection. And I'm like, I genuinely don't have a problem with that because I like when my partner was seeing my other partner's happy. Yeah. So I don't have a problem with compersion. It's when I'm not receiving it is when I have issues.
Right.
And so I'm like, but it's not me. So I kept having to be like, it's okay. It is okay. Because it's like, I may not feel great, but I'm glad that they are happy, kind of a thing. And so with Jessica Fern's book, I can't remember what specifically that stood out to me the most, but it was just like it kind of helped process some of that jealousy and that insecurity I was feeling. So
that is so good. I mean, and that's like where the rubber meets the road, right? Like we listen to all of these books and podcasts and all this stuff, but like what you're talking about is like
putting into practice.
But it's like the real grit of polyamory. It's like these are the times when you watch your partner's relationship with one of their partners grow and get stronger, and you know, you're feeling like yours is lacking in some way, and like the effect that has on you, the toll that takes on any of us, you know, when we feel like our relationship is maybe getting stagnant or just not growing, or we feel like neglected. And you, again, being a spewer, I'm sure you wanted to talk about it and get it out there. How did you end up coping with that? Because things seem to be better now. So how did you kind of get over that, past that? How did you all come together to have a good working relationship that you do now?
Yeah. Kind of also, I didn't really touch on this, but our living situation wasn't the greatest. So we were planning on staying in an apartment, and then that ended up not working out. And then we moved in with a friend, and that was not a great environment. And that's where like a lot of our issues were. There just wasn't a lot of like physical space. So it was really hard to give us like actual physical space to give us the space, if that makes any sense. So that was totally rough. And then actually Laz had moved in with us like in May. And they had moved with us to this other location with the friend. And then they ended up having to move out because it was just too much. And I was like, yeah, like I understand. And then we actually just moved into another apartment about a month ago. And so since then, it was just kind of like it was like putting a pause, but like a really rough, like not great pause. And then when we had moved into with the friend, and then when we moved out, it was like we had press play and it was like, oh, we're all good. So yeah, that was great. But it was, I mean, the play part was great, not the other part. But yeah, so I think that like just being like having time to process, like with Laz, like me and Laz hadn't really communicated very much, so we were able to like give each other that kind of space and be like, okay, well, like we'll talk when we're ready. With TJ, it was kind of like the same thing where it was like, I'll be down here and you can go upstairs, and if you want to hang out, that's great. If you don't, I guess we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, you brought that up, and like that's a whole other podcast, but like having enough space in a polyamorous relationship is so huge. You know, I definitely went through something similar with partners, and yeah, I'm glad that ended up working out, so you guys can have that space to be together.
Yeah.
What does she call it? My partner, she calls it to be alone together. Alone time together, alone time.
Yeah, TJ's huge on that. I don't know if like you believe in the like astrological signs or anything like that, but he's a Virgo, and he's very much a Virgo.
My partner too.
And I mean, I know that I said that today's my birthday, but that means I'm a Libra, and so yeah.
There you go.
It's definitely interesting. So
totally. Well,
oh,
nice.
Thanks. I was like,
now he hits the music. For those of you who are listening and have no idea what was happening with that music in the background, it was our little happy birthday video. So happy birthday to Stephanie again. Stephanie, I wanted to tell you how much fun I've had today chatting with you, getting to learn from you, watching the stuff that's going on behind you.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm at a gas station. I pulled over.
Not at all distracting, right? Like,
sorry.
I hope you were good.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, as I'm trying to create a little bubble, so I think people are like, "What's going on?" But yeah.
I know if I was in your car, I'd be like, "Oh shit, what the hell? Like, really, right now? Like, now you're gonna do this? Jerks." Anyway,
I think there's actually an ambulance parked right behind me right now. So
yeah.
Not like they're stopped to get to the gas station. I don't think they're on a call. So
yeah. Well, hopefully there's some good looking firefighters out there for you to.
Yeah, there was actually one that just walked by.
Yeah.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
That's probably the number one quote. I actually just quoted that to my coworker the other day. I was like, just smile and wave.
I love it. Stephanie, I want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything that you want to tell people? If people want to get in touch with you, can they? Should they?
Oh yeah, more than welcome. I think he has it or somewhere. Yeah, there we go. My Instagram is right there. I'm usually more active on Instagram. You can message me on Facebook by the same name. Well, by my name that's on my little blub here that says Stephanie Symonds-Smith. And then you can also email me at steffiruth94@gmail.com. But yeah, I'm pretty reachable. I'm more than willing to answer any questions. Like I said, I'm a spear, so I'm an open book. But yeah, I'm not really doing anything specific. I mean, I'm trying to be more proactive on Instagram, where I'm sharing more polyamorous stuff. I actually just came out to my mom last week for National Coming Out Day. Thanks. And so I wanted to post something on Facebook, but I just didn't get to it. Plus I'm also letting my mom get some time to process, because she is, I don't know if you guys know anything about LDS, but she's LDS, but she actually lives in Texas. And so I was just letting her get some time to wrap her mind around it a little bit. But yeah, so if you guys have any resources for how to explain polyamory to your parents who don't understand, let me know. That'd be great.
There is one book by Dr. Elizabeth Sheff. It is what it's called.
I know what you're talking about, and I can't remember the name of it.
When Someone You Love is Polyamorous.
Yes, thank you. Perfect. Yes, I will give her that one. I was like, I know there was one, but I could not remember the name of the book.
My parents are also pretty religious, and I gave them that book. I don't know if they actually read it or not, but I thought it was a pretty good resource.
Yeah, you can only do what you can do, so you can't force somebody who doesn't want to do anything. So yeah,
100%. All right, Stephanie. Well, thank you again so much for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate your time and your wonderful personality and the insight that you left for our listeners. Hopefully, everybody got some good value out of it. Hello, Robbie. Hello, Louise. Thank you all so much for commenting. And yeah, that's it. Thank you to our live audience also for tuning in today. Remember that when we're live, you get no commercial interruptions, but the same can't be said for the podcast downloads. So if you want to avoid the commercial interruptions, catch us live Monday through Friday, 2:30 Pacific time, or sign up for our Patreon where you'll get access to our commercial-free RSS feed and support the show. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, wherever it is that you download your podcast if you haven't already, and please leave us a review. We'll really appreciate it. That is all we've got for you all today. Thank you and happy birthday one more time to Stephanie. Thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, until next week, every day.
Have a nice day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Practicing Polyamory podcast. Would you or someone in your polycule like to be a guest? Sign up at practicingpolyamory.com and join the conversation. Please support us by subscribing, liking, and following us on social media at Practicing Polya by clicking any of the affiliate links on our website or by subscribing at patreon.com/practicingpolya.